What do I think of it? It doesn't really faze me. It is what it is. If that's when we need to play it, that's when we need to play it. So need to be quite flexible in these times, and if that's what it calls for, then we'll be ready, and hopefully we're there.
How have you adjusted to the training regime? You've been someone that's taken a bit more ownership of trainings. Is that been the case?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's quite different, obviously. In the off season, you train in pairs, and historically even before the COVID-19 pandemic. So when you come back, you train in groups of 8. It's sort of similar to that, but just with a bit more structure. It's been really good for player owners, players taking responsibility with drills, having that ownership has been quite nice.
Something you've enjoyed, obviously.
It has been good. It's been refreshing to go out there. It keeps you on your toes. You're sort of across the session more, because you're running it. You're not relying on the coaches to tell you what drill to do, where to be, when, and whatnot. So it's been really good, and all the players have handled it well.
See, I don't think you've ever played a full season personally. And then come with this one, I think you're fit and healthy at the start of this year, and all of this happens. You're not going to play 20 plus games again as a player. How's it been constantly interrupted through injury and things like this your entire career?
It has been frustrating, and I suppose the initial thought, I definitely had my best pre-season to date, and I was in the best shape coming into the season, but so the initial thought was, here we go again type of thing, but there's people in the community that are affected far more than that, and we've got the opportunity now. We're going to get another 16 games, so if I can tick off the next 16 games, then I'll say I played 100% of games in 1 year at least, so it may not be the 22, but hopefully we get to that one next year.
So have you managed to maintain what you say was some of your best physical form going into the start? How have you managed to maintain it over the last 3 months?
Well, it was just getting the work in over the break. So in the time that we were allowed to get out and train in partners, making sure that you got the work done there. Any time there was a chance to potentially go for an extra run or whatever without the strength and conditioning or fitness coaches knowing, maybe just getting in a little session there just to make sure you're getting the Ks in the legs and the speed. So it was just pretty much what you can do. The situation was so different to what we faced previously. Every club was in the same position, so you just had to do what you could personally to make sure you maintain those standards.
Do you feel like you have done that? You've what you've seen from yourself over the last 2 weeks in training, you feel like you're in a pretty good spot?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. With the match sim that we had on the weekend, doing ground balls at full tilt in the wet, the touch, the clean, everything like that will come. And we've got another couple of weeks before round 2, I should say, not round 1, but the resumption of the season. So another couple of weeks just to make sure that fine tune the cleanliness around the ball and the stoppages and structures and all that. That's coming along nicely as a team.
What about the high speed and the sort of kicking at 60 type stuff that we used to see from you that you can't really practice as much in the 3 months off? Have you found that, and has it left you?
Not too badly, and I think because of the pre-season that I was able to get in, the work that I was able to get in, it was carried on and held. So in the break you're able to get the speed done, the 60-metre kicks and all that, long kicks on the run, not as much because you don't have the teammates and everything around, and every now and again you can kick a ball 60 and then chase after it, but that sort of wears thin pretty quickly. But no, with the weights and everything like that, body feels like it's in a pretty good position.
Is that the danger injury-wise, Sergio, then? Like blokes come back and you've got to go at a level, clearly no matter what you do at training, the game naturally just goes a level up. Is that a danger?
Yeah, 100%. That's the demand of the game, and I think even coming off full pre-season, you sort of tend to see injuries happen in the first few rounds of a season. Last year, the year before, it always seems to happen. So it's definitely a step up. Coming off a full pre-season, let alone a gap that we've had so far. So it will be a challenge for teams, and touch wood, we're in a pretty healthy position at the moment with majority of blokes on the track.
How much harder does that make showdown then?
Yeah, it would be interesting, but the good thing is Porter in the same boat as us, so it could come down to a war of attrition.
What do you make of? You guys are living under some unbelievably strong restrictions. It's probably twice as stringent, if not more, than what the rest of the community is under. How are you coping with that?
It has its challenges, but again, everyone is having challenges in one way, shape, or form in life at the moment. Whether it's financial, job security, all these different things, people are facing challenges, and that's one challenge for us is staying at home, and I'm lucky enough that the study starts again tonight, so I'll be able to peel off a couple of hours there. But the last couple of weeks, you do feel it a little bit agitated, sitting on the couch and wanting to get out there and be active. And swinging the golf clubs would be nice, but it's not the end of the world just yet.
Have you cast your mind forward to the Gold Coast and what you'll do with your partner and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, she works back here, so play it by ear at the moment. At this stage, probably won't do it because needing to come back and quarantine for 2 weeks on the other side. It's for a week of her coming and sitting in a hotel room with me to come back and sit here for 2 weeks. I don't really feel like putting her through that.
What do you study?
It's a graduate certificate of business administration, so it's a pretty long-winded name, but it's going okay at the moment.
What's the end goal there?
I don't know, just sort of keep options open, whether I go in the business field. My old man's got a business back in Melbourne, so whether I get involved with him or potentially go out on something on my own, I'm not too sure yet, but football's not going to last forever, so I've got to get me foot in the gear.
Have you picked up anything else? Like, you can't go and work in the golf game at the moment. Have you picked up anything else apart from the study and the time off?
I got addicted to Madden 20 on the PlayStation, but I did put that aside. I got hooked into the manager role there and running drafts and whatnot, but I was spending far too much time on it, so I had to put that aside.
Just on the, you spoke about availability of players. I think Riley Knight's the only one that's unavailable. How much is that pushing training on as well?
Yeah, great. Well, in terms of match sim, it allows you to you get your 18v18 with a couple on the bench, so that's great match practice for us, and just as you said, competition for spots. Your pre-season, it's almost a second crack. If you didn't play round one, if you did the work over the break, then you're going to be ahead of some other blokes that, if they didn't do the work. But looking at the group so far, everyone's come back in really good nick.
So do you think the game will change when it resumes?
Potentially. I sort of, in my mind, fatigue's obviously going to play a role, and generally through games, the second half can open up a little bit. So I sort of wonder whether the game will open up a touch earlier. And again, these are just my thoughts, but whether hopefully we get a bit more attacking and score some goals. That'd be nice to see some of that again. But you don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The first few rounds will probably determine what that does. But we're not going to change the way we're playing. It'll just be for how long blokes can sustain the efforts.
So you reckon it'll be sort of you have to, the team that quickly identifies the way the game's going and adapts to the trends will be the most successful?
Yeah, I'd say each team's out there, looking at how they think the break's going to impact it. I dare say teams will come up with some opportunities. Midfielders will probably rest up forward more often now, and sort of more players going through the midfield to keep that energy around the ball and speed around the ball. But as I said, we'll see. It's only a couple of weeks away, and we'll find out.
Are we expecting to see you inside the contest still this year? Are you sitting on a wing, or where is Mixie want you rotating?
Well, over the pre-season, it was nice. I was able to get it inside a little bit, so I was playing sort of wing and inside. But again, possibility of going forward as well. But we haven't got into those intricacies just yet. I'm sure they'll come in the next week or so. No, I quite enjoyed the role that I was playing previous to that with the wing and getting inside. Just keeps you connected to the game a bit longer, and being able to get in on the ball for little spells.
And Paul, it's just coming through that AFL's pushing very hard. Gillen's quite confident with crowds in some capacity. How much better would it be playing football with crowds as opposed to what we had in round one?
Yeah, it was a different feeling, and especially at Adelaide Oval, we've got such a wonderful supporter base, and the fans give us such drive. So when you ran out, you normally got the flamethrowers going and everything like that, and the crowd roaring. It was a bit different. So it did have a training feel or a practice match feel about it. But then obviously when the ball bounced, you were lining up against Sydney. So it'd be great if we can get that and get the supporters back involved.